All right, this is part one of our M&M Web API series. Today we're going to set up the Pi. So the things that you're going to need a Raspberry Pi, and this happens to be the Raspberry Pi Zero without the Wi-Fi module. You're going to need your power supply and an Ethernet adapter. In my case, on some of the other Pis you won't need it, and then your SD card. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to format the card, then we're going to flash it with Raspbian, and then we're going to enable SSH on it, and then we'll load it in our Pi and test it. So you need to download two different pieces of software and then the Raspbian image. So the first thing we'll need to do is download the SD card formatter, and we'll download this from the sdcard.org website. So you come over here and click accept, and you go and download that. Once that finishes, we'll launch it here, and I've already have my SD card plugged in, and so you'll see that it's actually on the E drive, and we will go ahead and click format. So now we have a clean slate to start from. The next thing we'll need to do is download the Raspbian image. So if we go to raspberrypi.org/downloads/Raspbian, we can download this one right here. It's called Raspbian Stretch with desktop and recommended software. So we'll just download that zip. And we'll let that download and we'll come back. Okay, now that we have that downloaded, the next bit we'll need to do is download something to flash that Raspberry Pi image over to the SD card. So there's a good free one called Balena Etcher. So if you head to balena.io/etcher and go ahead and download that. And once that's installed and you launch it, you'll see a screen that looks like this. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to select the image. Select our device and click flash. Okay, now that our software has been flashed over to the card, what we're going to do is unplug it from our adapter and plug it back in, because after it flashes it usually ejects it. So we're going to plug it back in, and here it is. So we have the E drive and the F drive are both the Pi, but we're only going to modify the E portion of this. So let's go and open it up, and then we need to right click and add a new file. We'll do a new text document and name it SSH, but we need to make sure that we delete the extension here, because it needs to be just SSH. It doesn't need to be a text document. And this allows us to actually SSH into the Raspberry Pi over the network from the get-go. So that way we don't actually have to plug it into a monitor and keyboard and configure it that way. We can get started right from our computer. So that concludes part one of our M&M Web API series. Check back for part two, and we'll SSH into the Pi and start configuring some things.